Yeah, so today I'm sitting with Becky Janzen. I got to remember to not put a T in it, right?
Right. Yep, Janzen.
And she is a fellow lark for me.
Yes.
Graduate of Heston College.
Yes.
Earned an Associate of Arts of Special Education.
Yes.
All right. I think you probably predated me at the school by a year or two, but
we were the biggest class of Heston College.
oh wow.
Yeah, they had to put mobile homes out back of Herb Hall, and they had to scramble to find room for all of us. So, when we were the most memorable class because we pulled a lot of pranks and it was fun.
Yeah. Yes, but the reason that I wanted to sit down with you is today, this year, you're now out at Camp David.
Yes, I am. It's an awesome place to be. It's a camp for at-risk children, and my background of abuse, childhood abuse, and going into my marriage prepared me actually for working at Camp David. People would think, well, prepared you. Well, we go through life, and all the good and the bad work together to make us who we are. And that's why I'm there. And
Okay, so you say for special needs, but you guys have like a really specific population of kids that you try to serve, right?
Right. We serve kids who have parents, one or both parents are incarcerated or in foster care. So they've gone through a lot of trauma in their lives. Foster care system, I think, is not the best system in the world for kids because they get moved every year. They get moved to a new foster care. And so that foster care parent has to start all over from square one. They've lost hope. They've lost the sense of family. Oh, no, we're going to be rooted up. So their hopes are dashed, their hopes of having a family, feeling a part of a family. There's a lot of abandonment issues, a lot of rejection issues that we deal with. So out of that arena. So
yeah, and I in my other job, of which it seems like I have too many of those, but in my other job as an intake worker, I see kids kind of on day one. They're being pulled out of home, and they're scared, most of them, because they don't know what's going to happen to them. And we sit there without a whole lot of answers at that
correct.
At that point. You guys, point of order, down at Heston, because Camp
right.
David's located near Heston, right?
Right.
You guys kind of see them a little further along in the process, right?
Yeah.
And so what are some of the things that you guys are doing to help those kids? And camp is what, a week?
Yes, it's a week long, 5 days long. What we do is, our number one goal is to create family, because they come out of broken families. So it's family, and going through abuse myself, when a child goes through abuse, they lose safety, security, and trust. So those are the three things that we really try and build, is a safe place for them, and where they're loved on all week. They're encouraged all week. We, for instance, we have birthday parties. We have a birthday party for the boys and the girls that come in, because some of them have never had a birthday party and never had a birthday present. They've never been celebrated. Their birthday has never been celebrated. So we make sure they get a gift, they get a cake, and we sing happy birthday to them. And so some kids cry because they've never had that in their whole entire life. And so I think it's just amazing that we get to celebrate who they are. And then the number one thing is sharing Christ with them, sharing Jesus Christ with them, because he is our healer. He's the one that heals our wounds, that he's the one that's never, ever, ever going to leave us or forsake us. And so we want to really instill that in them, that Jesus is the one that loves you. Even though we go through dark, dark, dark times, he's always there for us, and he will make a way out for us. So that's the other thing that we give. For the girls, we give them a princess party. That's awesome. It's an awesome thing. So we have a room full of princess dresses, and they get to go down and pick out their princess dress, and we do their hair and their makeup and their nails. And then there's an antique car club from Newton, Kansas, and they will drive to the Impact Center, pick up the girls, and take them down to the conference center. And we have the staff that I work with, the teenage staff, they dress in black pants and white shirt and bow tie, and they meet them at the door, and we're clapping for them, telling them how beautiful they look. They get their pictures taken professionally, and then we have a little dance and birthday party for them, and they get presents and cake, and we just celebrate them. We celebrate who they are, and you know, a lot of them, when you go through abuse, you lose your identity, like I did when I was so young. And I wish I had a camp like this that I could have gone to, because a lot of times when you're going through abuse, you feel so isolated, and you feel like you're the only one out there going through you know, the trauma, the yelling, the beatings, you know, whatever you go through. So anyway, we.
So when you talk about losing your identity as a result of the abuse that you've suffered, you know, talk to me a little more about that, and.
Well, I can say it from. Can I kind of do it from my point where
Yes.
I was as a child? So I went through a lot of abuse, physically, mentally, emotionally. I went through SRA. Do you know what SRA is? It's satanic ritualistic abuse. So a lot of times you lose a sense of who you are, and like me, I felt like I was cursed. I was cursed as a woman, and so I thought God made a mistake and put me in the wrong body. A lot of these kids, you lose your whole sense of worth. You lose your whole sense of who am I? What was I created to do, be on the face of this earth? I mean, you know, when you have no self-worth, nothing, you're just out here just trying to survive life. That's basically where a lot of these kids are. They're just trying to survive life on a day-to-day basis. And so are some of their parents, because, you know, they're in poverty level and they're trying to survive. The kids are trying to survive. And a lot of the abuse comes out of parents also. The parents were also abused, or they went through some kind of trauma in their life. So, yeah, that's...
So for most people, when you start talking about summer camp, they have these sort of memories and images that come to their heads, like, you know, going fishing, archery, the campfire at night, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It strikes me that, well, and I went to a Christian summer camp in my youth, and so there was also like church services and some of those components. But it strikes me that Camp David is maybe a little different and about a little bit more.
Oh, yeah. We take the boys fishing, and if it's their first fish they catch, they have to kiss it. So we have pictures of the kids kissing their first fish. And we provide horseback riding. We have kittens and rabbits, so little bunnies. And I'll give you an example of one of the kids was having a meltdown. His parents didn't want him to get baptized at camp. So he was having a meltdown in the cabin, and we grabbed a kitten. It's amazing. I never realized how much a kitten or a bunny can, like, take somebody from 50 to 0 in less than 3 seconds, you know. So the other counselor coach, and she grabbed a kitten, and we walked into the cabin, and we said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he was just, I mean, sobbing. We put that kitten in his lap, and all of a sudden, you know, he just calmed down, and he could talk to us. And, you know, I observed him and talked to him throughout the week. And what I saw in that little boy, that he had such a deep faith in God that, like, I've never seen before. And so I sat there and I said, "Hey, can I challenge you with something?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "Well, you know, you have this deep faith in God, right?" He goes, "Yeah, I love God." And I said, "Well, how about if we just believe together that someday God's going to open the door for you to get baptized like you really want to?" I said, can we like make a pact that we're going to believe that, and you're going to be able to get baptized someday? And he just looks at me and he goes, "Well, okay, we'll do that. So, you know, we can believe that together." And so, you know, you really meet them where they're at. Meet them, you know. Sometimes you don't know where the trigger points are. And so you got to give them a moment to regroup and then talk. And so it's a lot of fun.
So do you have kids that come back each year, or do you have to rebuild the whole camp every year?
Oh, no. They're the kids that are on staff that help run the camp. They're actually, some of them, there's a lot of them that have been through the camp. We're only 4 years old.
Right.
So the kids that started, you know, 4 years ago are coming back working as counselors, working they help meal prep, they help clean, they help run the breakout sessions like archery and team building games. And then I have devotions with them in the evening, and they love coming back. We have a Valentine's fundraising dinner in February, and they love coming back and serving the meal to the people who come in to give to the camp, give back to the camp. And another amazing thing that you don't think makes this much difference, but every child gets a quilt. So when they come in for camp, into the cabin, every bed has a quilt on it, and it's so much fun to watch them going, "Oh, I like this one. No, I like this one," you know, and they run to and from run around looking at all the quilts, and they get to pick their quilt out, and they get to take it home with them. So every year they get a quilt. And so what I noticed, we had a fall retreat this past year, and two of the girls brought their quilts back, and they cherish them, they treasure them. And so kudos out to all those quilt makers out there that makes those quilts for those kids, because they absolutely love them. That's one of the highlights of camp. It becomes their security, because camp was a safe place, And so that quilt becomes a kind of a symbol. They got to crawl under there and be safe for the first time in their lives. So that's what I love it. There was this one young man, if you don't mind me going into another story.
Sure.
He was very, he would just sit along the wall. He just, with his head down, he wasn't participating in anything. And the Lord told me to bring my art supplies. And so I brought my art supplies and I sat down beside him, and it was like he was not liking me in his space. He just did not like me there. And all of a sudden I said, "Hey, do you draw?" And his eyes just got big, and he goes, "Mm-hmm." And I said, "Would you like me to go get my art supplies? Do you want to draw together?" "Mm-hmm." And he just shook his head, And that was the beginning of the opening. That was the opening. He was just so shut in, shut up, walled up. And and it was really amazing to watch our team around him. I mean, it took all of us, the whole team, to kind of help break the walls down. And Ben, the director of the camp, he was just amazing. He had him out there fishing, and he was just sitting on the shore. And a couple of us had already gone up, and we sat down beside him talking about fishing. And you should try fishing. It's a lot of fun to reel that fish in. Next thing I knew, Ben had him up fishing, and he was just smiling. By the end of the week, that child, you wouldn't even reckon. I'm sitting there going, is that, I don't want to say his name.
Sure.
But I'll just say Bob and I went, that is Bob. His whole countenance had changed from Monday to Thursday night when we were doing skits, and he was up there laughing with his cabin mates, just doing the skit with them and having a great time. And I'm thinking, God, wow. I mean, it makes me cry.
Yeah.
Just to watch the walls.
So
watch his walls come down.
Yeah. So what age was Bob when that happened?
Bob was, he would have been 12. This was his last year of junior camp, so he'll go to the teenage camp this year. And I hope we get to see him because, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, it touched my heart.
It strikes me that you guys, while you're putting your team together now, you probably need quite a few people to make something like this work. Yeah,
we're looking for 37 counselors yet to fill spaces, a few more. We really would like to see even the, young men to older men come in as counselors as well, because they become like a dad figure. It's good to have teenagers, the older teenagers, we train them up to be counselors as well. But it's good to have the dad figures in there and not always the big brother figures, because the dad figures are not present a lot of times. So we want them to have an experience of having a dad figure around and what that might look like. And
so when you say the younger man, how young are we talking?
Oh, 20s, 20s on up. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can run or not run, just a physical body, that will come in and love on them and just tell them how great they are and encourage them. There was a young gal that was having a hard time learning the armor of God. And I'm going, God, how can I help her? Because she'd almost go into PTSD mode. I watched her, and I'm going, okay, God, how can we do this differently? And he showed me to draw out the armor And then, so I drew it out and tore it apart, tore the pieces apart, and we were sitting on my bed, and she goes, well, I don't know what righteousness means. What does that mean? It was a big word to her. And so I explained to her what righteousness is. I said, just pretend that because you have Jesus in your heart, you're standing right beside him because you're pure and you're whole and you're clean. And I said, you're standing righteous. You're standing pure and clean before him. She goes, oh, okay. And then what's this and this? And so I explained it to her, and all of a sudden she went bang, 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 put them all in order. And we just sat there and went, yes, just to see the accomplishments and the smiles on their face. And one little girl, we were walking back from the pool, and she goes, this has been the best week of my whole life. And I said, what made it the best week of your whole life? She goes, I haven't been yelled at one time. And I was going, man, that's amazing. I knew exactly where she was at because I went through a lot of yelling, screaming and growing up. But the other story was one of the girls in my cabin, she just did not want to get up in the morning. It was like pulling teeth trying to get her out of bed, get her up, get her motivated. And so just worked with her. She was my focus for the week. So I worked with her all week. About Wednesday, we were going up to chapel from the nurse's station, and she turned around and she bopped me in the forehead, and she said, dork stamp. I busted out laughing. It was the first time I saw her laugh all week. I chased her up those steps, and we fell at the top of the steps laughing. And I'm going, what a gift to give a child laughter, And it brought me back to my childhood when my brothers and I used to do that to each other. But it was a moment. It looks small to the world, but at Camp David, it's huge because now the walls are broken down. She felt safe enough to pop me on out of just who she is, pop me on the forehead and said dork stamp. I thought it was hilarious, but
well, who really gets more out of camp, the kids or you?
I think it's equal. I think it's equal. I love the teenage staff. That's who I was brought on staff to work with. I'm kind of like the youth pastor of the camp, so I keep them. Like this coming Saturday, we're getting all the staff. We're getting staff together to have a game night and play hide and seek and all that kind of stuff. So we want to keep them together, create family, create a safe place where they can come and they can say, "Hey, Becky, I'm having a difficult time." And I saw on Facebook this morning, I'm gonna call two of my staff members. I saw a girl died in their school, and so you stay in contact with them and just check in on them, see how they're doing, what they're doing, and so it's a good program. I love it. I love it out there. It's I love kids anyway. It's just fun to hang out and be a kid again. So
do you need people who will be there all summer, or people that will be there a week, or both?
Both. Okay. Both. Yeah, you can commit to 5 days. We have grandmas and aunties that come out and help with crafts. That's part-time. They can come out there during craft in the morning, during craft time, and then the grandmas, they come in after swimming. About 3:00 in the afternoon, we have a rest time after swimming, and they come in and read stories to the kids, because some of these kids have never had a book read to them. So they love that time. I love that time because I get to lay down in my bunk and rest a little bit and listen to the story. So, yeah, I love these kids. There's a lot of leadership qualities in them, and that's what my goal is to, Ben and Grace's goal is to raise up leadership, raise up leaders. And there's one of the staff, she started a Bible study out there for her girls in her class, and they come out there and have Bible study before school every other week on Thursdays. And so it's starting to really gel out there. She just texted me and said, "Hey, can we come out there and do a Bible study?" I said, "Yeah, come out and do that." That's part of the vision that we have out there for Camp David. So
it sounds like it's starting to come together. Well, this is what year 4 at Heston. Pretty sure that some of this was going on in places not named Heston for a while before they came here. But yes, I've been a believer since the first time I found out about it, which was right at about 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So for somebody that, after listening to you, says, "Hey, I went in on that action," should they be going to the website? Should they be calling you? How do they get involved?
Well, they can, if they want to sign up as a counselor, they can go on to campdavidinternational.org and go to the volunteer. There'll be a drop down that I think it says staff, and they just follow that, or they can call me, Becky Janzen, at 307-359-8340.
Okay.
So, or they can even email me at becky@campdavidinternational.org. So,
well, it's one of the things that happened this week for me that was one of those surreal moments. Is after a graduation ceremony from Newton Weekday Bible School, which, by the way, is celebrating its 100th year. Which,
wow,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was chit-chatting with someone, and I made some comments because, as you know, there are members of my family that are going to be very involved this summer at Camp David. And I wanted to let one of the folks know that because they like my kids and my wife and whatever else. And as we were conversing, the first thing they said was, "Well, where is Camp David? I've never heard of it." So I told them where it was. And when I told them where it was, I was told my family used to own that.
Oh, wow.
So we're going back beyond even Crosswinds Conference Center, which was the most recent tenant. And learned that the pond has been reshaped somewhere, but their family helped create the original pond on the property and whatever else. And then when I described what it is Camp David does and the population that Camp David serves, there were near tears.
Oh, wow.
And I could tell that when it comes to the use of that land that was, for a while, really important and almost sacred to their family, they are... the word supportive is probably not strong enough. They were just pretty taken back.
Wow.
And that it didn't take very long for them to really believe in the mission of Camp David, which is quite honestly the reason you're sitting here with me today.
Yeah.
Right? Because the mission is just incredible. So if you could, in a Twitter sentence, I'm going to date myself, Twitter sentence, give us that mission statement for Camp David as a way to encourage somebody to give you a call and say, "I will give you a week," what would you say?
What would I say? A mission statement. We're here to serve at-risk children, to give them a safe place and to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And I just want to see them healed. I want to see their hearts repaired, their broken hearts repaired, and to know that they're worth a whole lot. You know, a lot of those kids just, I don't have a sentence to say.
No, it's okay. Sometimes it's not enough.
No, a sentence is not enough. But to give a child a life back, okay, one sentence is, if we can change the family pattern of incarceration, if we can keep one child out of incarceration, we've done our job. You know, because there's generational patterns that happen. There's generational patterns that need to be broken, and hopefully we can break those patterns of incarceration and give them a sense of worth, a sense of trust and hope, so that they will in turn, because that's what Jesus did for me. So that's why I'm there, is to say, hey, listen, you know, there's hope. Jesus does heal our heart. Jesus does deliver us out of those powers of darkness. And therefore, that's why I'm there, is to change that, to give them hope and a future, and that is outside of prison bars, outside of foster care, that they could become a great parent, you know. And so anyway, that's what I'm there for.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it too. Thank you for having me. And it's been fun. I look forward to working with your children this year. So they're going to be on staff at Camp David, and I know their lives will be changed because of it. When you serve, it's a whole different, when you give, it's better to give than to receive. So when, you know, like I even had a orphanage home in Liberia, when you go to serve, it changes your life. Just as much as it changes theirs. So,
which is why somebody needs to go to your website and say, yes, I'm going to give a week.
Yes.
Folks, you're going to get changed.
You're going to get changed. They will be changed. Yep.
Well, thank you very much for the time today.
Yes, thank you.